Here we go. We are back. We are live. It's been a minute. I got to recenter myself to know what's going on here. I am back. We are back for Laying It Down with Big D, and I'm your host, Big D. Andrew. I've got a very special guest with me. We have got Mr. Freshie here, Adam Paterson. Adam, how are we doing today?
Pretty good.
How?
Days is pretty much already over now, but it's been good.
Yes. It's the eve of a third 3-day weekend here in the United States. It's Memorial Day weekend at the time of recording, but I don't think you guys have that in Canada, do you?
We have a different one, I think, on a different day.
Oh, well, either way, yes, it's the end of the weekend here. And did you say you played in a tournament today, or played in a match of some kind?
No, I was just me and Cryptic just played like a 2v2 event or whatever.
Did you guys
and
win?
Then we were also discussing. Yeah, we won it. So it's got like a free $50 skin from that.
Hell yeah.
So that was cool.
You love to see it. Okay, well, here we go. Freshie, let's go way back in time here. I don't know how far back in time you want to go, but what's your earliest memory of Counter-Strike? Like, how did you get started playing Counter-Strike?
I think it was like high school or something. And I don't know exactly which year, but I know it's definitely been a long time now, like 8 years or something like that, or something around there. I don't know. I mean, before Counter-Strike, I played a lot of console games, and I PS3 is what I played, and then I loved COD, but then my mother took away my PlayStation, so I didn't have anything, and then like a year later or something like that, I got a computer, and then I got into Counter-Strike because I didn't have a console anymore.
Who turned you on to Counter-Strike? Like, did you know about Counter-Strike before you had a PC?
No, I mean, I didn't know it before. I just looking for games that were on Steam, and then that was like a popular one. So then I just started playing it. Uh, but I mean, I wasn't really competing that much in the beginning. I was more so just like playing casually, and then eventually, I found like a 10-man back in the day that I play all the time, and then from that, I found out what ESEA was, and then from ESEA, I played my first open season, and then from there, it's just like I played a season every single time a new one came up. Yeah, so I played a lot. I've played a lot of Counter Strike for sure.
Did you?
I have a lot of hours.
How many hours in Counter-Strike do you have?
Right now, I have 14,000 hours, so that's a lot.
Exactly 14,000?
No, 14,265.
Okay,
currently.
Big D's coming up close to you. I got 13.
Oh, you're catching
up. I
got
13.7. Yeah, I'm hot on your tracks.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, I mean, the game's been out for a long time, so.
It has. I didn't start till 2013 myself, but yeah, it has been out. Let me ask you about something like that. Like, I mean, you play on a professional level. How long would you say you've been playing Counter-Strike professionally? Like, how many years?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, professional is just a different thing to me, because like, yeah, I've played like at like events and stuff that were like tier 1 and all that stuff, but to me, professional is like constantly going to like events and getting paid a lot, and then like, being in a major and stuff like that. Like, that to me is professional. Professional for like people, it's like, it means a really different for a lot of people, and like different people will say if you're professional a lot or not. So to me, professional is something completely different from what other people think.
Yeah, no, and I that's a really good point. So let me rephrase that question. How long have you been competing? Like, I'm sure, like, you have your journey from starting in open, but how long did it take you before you were like playing in FPL or playing like in an advanced or like competing seriously, I should say.
Okay, well,
maybe that's
I guess
the better
advanced
question.
is a high level of. I guess advanced would be considered like a high level starting point. I don't even know, dude. Like 2 years into playing Counter Strike or something like that, around 2 years, and then from there, I was in advanced, and then I played like a lot of advanced. Like I have like 10 seasons of advanced under my belt, so I've played it a lot, and but eventually I broke out of it, and then played a lot of ECL, and now I'm kind of just waiting for the next step, which is obviously the major.
You're gonna make it, dude. I know you are. I mean,
We were so close.
were you guys? You were on boss when they went to Shanghai, right?
I was on boss for a very long time. I was the last remaining player from the original roster. Well, I mean, Slight came back. He was a part of the original, but uh, the duration on boss, I was on the longest. Um, we qualified back in the day. My first RMR that I qualified to was it was me, Brett, or I think it was me, Brett, Micro, I think, or it was me, Brett, Micro, Cryptic, Darty, and Slight, I think. Um, and then no, it wasn't Slight. It was someone else. Sorry, because Slight got picked up to Wildcard. I remember that, like, because we were under Wildcard, and then Wildcard decided to look for other options, and then we ended up being with um, Cynic, and then Cynic sadly passed away right before the oh no, sorry, this is another time. Oh my god, sorry. I've played so many that like I'm like mixed up about it.
You're good.
Um, the first RMR that we played, we couldn't go because one of our teammates, Brett ended up getting cancer, and he couldn't fly because of that. So that was like really bad for him. And then another teammate, like it would have been fine because we had at the time we had Mix as a coach, and we could have had him as a sub. But then Micro didn't get his visa in time, and because of that, two players weren't able to play, and because of that, our spot got dropped, and we were replaced by EG, I think, at the time. So that was very sad that we didn't actually get to play in the RMR because of that. And then the next one, uh, we did go to, but at the time we had Cynic, and that was after the wild card situation. Uh, and sadly, he took his life before the RMR, which is very sad. And it was really weird because it was like we've never talked. I've never been in a situation where like I was talking to someone and the next day they're just not there. It was like it was a really like we all had a hard time thinking through it because like he was excited for the RMR, we were excited, like so we had to get an emergency sub, and then we ended up getting Pwn alone for that one, and we did okay. We almost beat Complexity. I think we like lost to them like 13-10 or 13-11, something like that. And then I don't remember who the other team we played. Um, but I'm pretty sure that RMR we beat MIBR first, and then we lost to Complexity, and then we played Liquid. I'm pretty sure. I think so. I think that was the order, if I remember. And then the next one was the Shanghai one, which it was me, Fruit Cup, Cryptic, Darty, and Slight. And or no, it wasn't Slight. Yeah, it was. And we were close, but sadly we choked it. Like we had a really easy bracket. Well, not easy, but like better than a lot of other people. We beat M80, and then we barely lost to Complexity again, and then we played Furia, and we got stomped by Furia. Honestly, like they put us down on Vertigo. I remember it. And then we played Bestia, and then we lost to them in 3 maps. But it was really sad because if we beat Complexity and we didn't throw that game, we would have had to play 9Z for the spot, and that was like the best outcome. And sadly, like we just couldn't get that outcome, so that was really sad. And then now, this RMR. I mean, it's now the MRQ, online tournament, stuff like that, and we got 4th place out of top 3 making it, so that was sucks. But that just means that we're getting closer every time. So, or at least I'm getting closer every time. So I think with this new roster that I'm gonna get, it's gonna be really exciting because like I feel like I'll be able to reach a higher peak with this new roster.
Yeah. That thanks for sharing all that, dude. That's yeah, just really appreciate that. And I'm really sorry for your loss as well. I think obviously Cynic's death was pretty impactful to the entirety of our community, but to be close with him like that, I can't imagine what that's like. So I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I wasn't super close with him. I was only on a team with him for like a month or two. But honestly, like before he even joined my team, he would always like shit talk and type to me. Uh, but once I was on a team with him, I was chill with him, and I liked him as a teammate. But it is very sad that that happened for sure.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to talk anymore about like how you kind of had to like how do you cope as a player to like mentally push on and just like play with the stand-in and deal with something like that? If you don't want to talk about that, we don't
Um,
have to, but
no, I mean I don't mind. It's just like it's just like I'm not gonna stop doing stuff just because something went wrong or whatever. You have to move on. That's just life, dude. You gotta keep on looking forward. So we all at the time, we were all very shocked and stuff and all that, but we ended up moving ahead and stuff like that. Definitely a lot of thoughts on like what maybe we could have done to like stop him, but we didn't even know he was like that. We didn't know he was had those thoughts and all that stuff. So it was just caught us off guard. And it's weird because like when it happened, we all like he just wasn't online the next day. So we all kind of had a feeling like something happened really badly. Um because like we had practice and then he wasn't on for practice and like we all just like had a feeling something was going on, but we just didn't really know exactly what. I think we found out because Axe had connections with the family, and the one of the family members told Axe about what happened.
yeah, that's incredibly challenging. I yeah, I, that definitely is not something that players should have to experience, and I'm really sad that he felt he was in that dark of a place that he couldn't talk to anybody. So if anybody's out there,
Yeah,
please talk to people because that solution is very final and
yeah,
has a way bigger impact than anybody realizes. I think on the people surrounding you. So, well, I'm not sure what other questions to follow up with here. I think to
and anything is
yeah. Well, so you were talking about, and again, I really appreciate you sharing that, dude. We were talking about you are obviously in a rebuilding phase right now. Uh,
hmm
what what are some of the things that led up to the roster changes recently that you're able to share with us, and what
um
do things look like going forward for you right now?
well, we were doing good, and then you know the MRQ was coming up, and people felt that at the time we had Wolfie on the team, and people felt that they were scared to see that having him would hurt us more than having someone else. So then we ended up getting someone else, and a lot of people think that like we picked up Dare because like Snav convinced us or anything, but that wasn't the case at all. Like we had like 3 4 options in our head on who we wanted to get to replace, and like it was a tough choice because we had to make it like pretty fast, uh, and we couldn't try out people because we didn't have a lot of time. So we just we that night we were just for a couple hours we were just discussing pros and cons for a lot of these players that we were going to potentially get, and then we ended up just deciding on Dare, and the only reason it ended up leaning like that is because we were thinking, okay, we have the IGL. This guy's IGL'd with him a lot, and you know, uh, Snav told us like what he was like as a teammate. He was brutally honest. He even told us like his flaws and stuff like that. And we ended up agreeing that we thought that that was the best pickup at the time. A lot of people in the community just think that like Snav convinced all of us to like get him. That wasn't the case at all. That wasn't the case at all. A lot of people like to say stuff that isn't true. Um, but it was a team decision that we decided to get him. And then obviously like a lot of people didn't like that, and then like there was a lot of controversy because like Wolfie was making a lot of tweets and stuff about like conspiracy theories on how like Snav was like a master genius, like creating this like plan to get like the whole Timmerman people back or whatever. Like that, it stirred up so much drama, and honestly, like that's why a lot of hate came in because like I'm not blaming it on Wolfie or anything, but like I understand he was upset and stuff, but like that definitely like got us a lot of hate, and especially our organization got a lot of hate for it too, which is really bad. And it's not like we cut Wolfie without informing like the org. Like we let the org know like this is what we want to do. Um, but up to the major and past, you know, we were always close to making events. Like we got second in like a lot of events and stuff and qualifiers that we were playing in, and like even like the major, like we got fourth, which just misses the major, and it's just like the org just felt like there needed to be a change because like at the end of the day, like second place isn't good enough, so we got to be better than that. And names were being thrown around, and you know ended up getting a different group of people. So like right now there are like it's weird because like they made a tweet saying that they kept me, and then a lot of people assumed that that meant that people like I'm being like the main person that I'm being built around. That's not true. I just fit in really well with this new roster. That's why I got to stay because um I'm just my role fits in really well with the new roster. So because of that was a big reason.
So it's more of like this was a roster release, except the new roster we're going to be picking up, we want to install Freshie into as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean,
Like I would like it. We already People already signed contracts. Um, so we already have people that we have. It's just at the time because it kind of like people assume that like they just dropped the whole roster and like kept keeping me, and then like they don't have no one on the list. Like that's not what happened at all. Like we had people like to play with at the time. So
there's a plan in motion down
yes,
at Blue
yes, yes,
Jays.
yeah.
Um, well, and you played under is it Warden or Wardino? I can never remember. I don't know how to
Uh,
pronounce his name.
Warden,
Okay, you
Warden,
played under him for a while.
yeah.
What kind of coach was he like? Like what kinds of things do you feel like you learned or developed as a player under him?
Um, he taught us a lot. He was more of a mental coach than strategic coach. He'd bring some stuff here and there. But he was more so just like trying to keep people level headed, and like gave us like he was more kind of like a father figure in a way. He was just giving us like advice, and like when he sees something wrong, he'd just tell us like what we should be doing instead, and like how to adapt and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean he was a good coach.
Uh, do you feel like as a player, my cat's gonna make his way into this part of the interview here now. Do you feel like as a player, like a coach is a pretty vital part of a team as you try to level up your competitive edge, or like as you try to play in higher tiers of competition?
Yeah, if they'll actually teach you something. Um, there's a lot of people who call themselves coaches, but they actually don't know more than the players, which isn't good. If your coach isn't teaching you new stuff and all that stuff, and they're giving you solutions to your questions and stuff like that, then I don't really think they're doing much. Um, I've had, I've experienced people uh that were like that who just like aren't really super experienced. Um, but yeah, they are really important, especially if you can learn a lot from them.
My cat is trying to make biscuits over here right next to me as well. Uh, well, okay, so we've got we at the time of recording here. I'm going to release this tomorrow, so it's not like some way distant out thing. But at the time of recording, we just watched Vitality take the whole thing. It feels like Vitality is pretty unstoppable right now. Do you think there's any weakness in the Vitality game over the last few tournaments, or how did?
I don't know. They're just the best right now, honestly. I hope they win the major because they're just. I've been a big fan of Rop, so like seeing him join another team and like that team just gets like so much better is just I love that so much.
Is there any? Are there? So I guess this is a question that I hadn't thought of. Are there any? As somebody who like narrowly missed the major, are you rooting against the NA teams at the major right now, or are you rooting for them?
Um, well, I mean, I don't know. Is it messed up that like, well, I mean, okay, well, they made the major. They're like the better opponent, so like they deserve it and stuff like that, and good for them. Obviously, we want NA to do well because that gives us more spots and stuff like that. Um, but like as a player, like losing, it's like, oh man, like winning it would have felt so much better. Like I'd rather I be there and like play in the major, but like that's just like as a player standpoint. But like for the region, I think yeah, I'm gonna be cheering for NA to win. But obviously, ideally, like I would have really enjoyed that if I was one of the reasons that potentially would do really good at the major.
I want to ask you. I've heard this term forever, boot camping. What does it mean?
Hmm.
And are there variations of it, or like what is a boot camp? I think we all as outside spectators believe it's just playing Counter Strike a bunch for 3 weeks straight before LAN. But what is it for you as a player?
Uh, I think a boot camp is useless if it's not in Europe. Well, I mean, sure, you could do it in NA, but there's not a lot of good teams in NA like that you can improve on. Like you can get to a certain level, but you can't really, because once you get to the big events and stuff like that, you're playing against completely different region, so you need to have that experience against those players. So if it's in Europe, like it's really helpful, and it is playing Counter Strike. That's like you have longer prac days than normally because you're there to work, and uh, so you'd get up earlier, and then you'd have like a long day schedule, and then you'd play the game and try to soak in as much as you can from these players that are not from your region, and take new ideas and strats, and like see if the things you're doing is even good against opponents outside your region and stuff like that. So boot camping is really important because it really it makes everyone like there's a big value to it as much as you can do it. So and plus you get to like play against a lot of these teams that you don't get to play often. So it is really important if that's like the question to me, if I think it's important or not.
Well,
Yeah, I do.
I was asking more just what is it in general? Like, is it you pick one team and then you're playing against them for that period of time? Like
Mm,
you're just scrimming each other?
no, you have different teams. It's like finding scrims in NA. You just find a bunch of teams and then you play them. Maybe if you think they're good practice, you message them, and then maybe you have like a BO3 or something like that, and you play 3 scrims on different maps against the same team or something like that the same day. Uh, but a lot of the time it's just different teams, and then like getting ideas and stuff like that, and trying to learn from them.
How much is like analytical preparation versus I don't know how to ask this question. I have probably one of the most fire questions of all time ever created by anybody in the history of humanity, but I can't word it correctly. So, like how important is match preparation for you, and what does good match preparation look like to you? That's probably the better way to ask
Okay.
that.
Well, you want to prepare against the opponent's style that they play, because a lot of teams have different styles that they play, and you want to like identify the weaknesses when you're watching the demos and stuff like that of them, and a lot of it is maybe like even it depends. Like some people like the prep solo, and some people like the prep map wide or whatever. It just depends. Like what I usually do is like I prep on my side and I see what the opponents like to do, and then I try to like come up with ideas on what I can do that'll be good against that. And then there's like, as a team, you discuss overall prep on like the team on like how they're playing, how they move, how maybe how they rotate, you watch how a pattern of how they like to retake, maybe if they're the type of team that likes to push a lot on their CTs and then go for flanks, or are they the type of team to like, rather just rotate and just go together in a pact, or are they like puggers where they're just like spread out on their maybe T side default and then they like look for picks and figure out, or are they like a strat heavy team? So you kind of just try to identify the type of style that you're playing against, and then you're more hyper aware of what they would do. Pretty much, that's like what prep is. So prep is very important. Obviously, like the way better teams, um, sometimes they do different stuff, and like it's hard to prep against some teams at a higher level because they'll be doing maybe different stuff or whatever, and then it becomes like a battle of like you try to prep for each other, so then like maybe the things that you see them do in previous demos, they're not going to do against you because like you play a different style than like the teams they've played against. So then it's like they're playing to counter you, but then you're playing to counter them, and it's just like prep is good, but sometimes you got to understand like how much you can actually take from the prep, because like people like good players aren't just gonna you know uh do the same thing constantly. They're gonna switch it up. So you just get an idea on like how they like to play, and then you just implement that into a match. Like you see a pattern of like a strat they like to do on their T side, for example, and then you're like, oh my god, they did this. That means that they're gonna do this, guys. Be prepared for this. Like it doesn't mean they are gonna do that, but it just like warns you, like warn your teammates that like this is gonna happen, pretty much. So it helps a lot on like reading your opponent.
I like that. Well, and yeah, that you kind of followed up with what was trying to ask in my head without being able to ask it verbally is how how often does that prep just kind of like do you have to okay, well, the prep is not helping us here, toss it out the window and we're just taking this round by round and feeling this game out. Like does that happen very often?
Yeah, yeah, sometimes your prep doesn't work and maybe they're doing something completely different. You just have to like adaptation is very important too. That's what makes good players good, is like in the moment, like maybe they start off a game and then they do really bad in the beginning of the game. They're like, okay, I think these guys aren't really playing like how we thought they were gonna play. We gotta like put the prep to the side. We gotta focus on our game, and we gotta like come up with a solution on like how to counter what they're doing now. And like that's what usually like people use timeouts and stuff like that to do, is like they discuss and talk about like um what you're gonna do against the opponents, and like trying to find a solution. And then like, again with like just timeouts and stuff like that, that could be like a mental game too. It's like if usually a team that takes a timeout, there's like two things usually. It's like either the coach is talking and telling you how to fix something, or like maybe it's like a mental chill out, like everyone just relax, get your nerves calm down or whatever. Or it's like or they're like coming up with a plan to like counter what you're doing, because then you can like think again and you're like, okay, obviously they pause because what they're doing isn't working, they're going to do something different here, guys. Let's kind of be ready for like this next move or something like that.
See, playing Counter Strike at the highest level sounds like the really fun part of Counter Strike, where you're playing all these like mental 4D chess games against each other of like
It is.
trying to outsmart each other and oh what's happening here, are they going to stack this, are they buying, are they trying to go off of their game strat, whatever. Yeah, that's and that's what I've gotten the most excited, like, because I started as a caster 2.5 years ago just watching open and IM matches to like practice in,
Mhm.
and then I've over the last couple of years or over the last year and a half done more advanced in ECL and like watched a lot more pro matches like close up and like started to understand stuff at a much higher level, and it's just there's just so much going on in this damn game. Is it like, do you play any other video games outside of Counter-Strike, or is Counter-Strike the only thing that can
No,
hold your attention?
like I have games on Steam and stuff like that, but like I just don't even like I don't play anything else but Counter Strike. That's like the only thing I play. So it's just that like a lot of I know a lot of other people, they have games they like to play, but like me myself, it's like 95% of the time it's just Counter Strike that I'm playing.
Do you have any
So
hobbies, any other hobbies outside of Counter-Strike?
um no, not really. I kind of just play Counter Strike. I see my family or whatever here and there, um and then like I have a girlfriend, so I just you know, maybe I hang out with my girlfriend or whatever as my hobby and we do stuff. But besides that, no, it's my life is just Counter Strike pretty much.
That's what.
And which is I'm very fortunate about that I am able to, because I know a lot of people they can't even play Counter Strike because maybe they're not in a financially good situation and they have to quit to get a job, or maybe like they have to do something because they have to go to school, or maybe they live with their parents and their parents don't support it, and then they have to stop and all that stuff. So, I know I am very fortunate to be able to play this game, uh, and like get money from it. So I am very lucky in a way.
Yeah, you, it's an incredibly grounded thing to say, based as the kids say, I think, these days. That's not a current kid's phrase at all. Big D's old as hell. Okay,
That's a good one. I like using that one.
it
That's a good
yeah,
one.
it's good, but anyway, that's, yeah, that's a really great way to look at it, and yeah, I'm very grateful to be able to sit around and play as much Counter Strike as I do as well. So I appreciate that there's those dedicated to continuing to like. You're obviously not just playing it like a zombie and just queuing up to queue up every day. Like, you're improving as a player. You're playing at some of the highest levels. You're trying to push our region forward in pretty amazing ways. So let's talk about our region a little bit, because this is something I like to ask everybody, and I won't keep you terribly much longer. I only have a few more questions for you, and I know you said you were ready for dinner here tonight, but our region, North America, obviously, I mean, you said it already. We don't have the number of like really good teams, so it's not like really
Yeah.
really useful for like teams to come here in boot camp. But what do you think is missing in North America that prevents it from being on the level with other regions? And I know this is a pretty complex question, so there's no simple answer, but what in your mind sticks out as
Experience.
just experience?
I mean, like as a player, it's like I feel like I can only learn so much watching demos and stuff like that and like figuring it out. It's like in Europe, there's so much talent and there's so much like people who've played the game at the highest level who like can coach, or like maybe they join another team and they share that information to other teams and stuff like that. Like us in NA, we don't have that. Like there's liquid and then there's complexity, and then like complexity they just picked up two new players. I'm sure those guys are learning a crazy amount. Like honestly, from the experience that the other players have, and I mean, it's like a free for all kind of like we just have to kind of figure it out. And I know when EG had the three rosters, like that was like a really weird situation and stuff like that. And like it's I'm sure a lot of people are disappointed that it didn't work out, but uh that was like a big opportunity because like a lot of these players ended up playing with like Rush or Automatic, or like these type of players, and those are the type of people that will like give you information for the future to like learn and stuff like that. Um, so like that's I'm really like envious and like I'm jealous that some players have been able to learn a lot from other people, because like most of the people in NA, we just have ourselves and then our teammates, and then they pretty much like our teammates know as much as us pretty much, unless they've somehow gotten experience from other people. So it feels really capped in the region because we don't have a lot of these like more experienced players to teach the younger players or the more up and coming players on how to play the game. That's why I think the region is not good right now. I mean, it's getting better. Like there's teams, like, but honestly, like it's a little strange because like every single one of these teams they have a European. I'm sure the Europeans are bringing a lot of stuff. So they have an advantage in that way, and that's why like getting the European is such an advantage because they just have a lot of more experience because they get that experience from other European players and they bring it to their teams.
Yeah.
And plus old veterans too, like Stanislaw, he's on wildcard, and then Nitro on NRG, and then like I guess if you want to count JT, but I don't really know. He's not really NA. He's like I think he's South African, right? I think or
JT,
something
I
like
think
that.
he's the South
Uh,
African player.
yeah. So he doesn't really count as NA, but he's on an NA team. But like every single one of these top rosters have top, like people who've been in tier one and called and stuff like that. So like they're sharing a lot of their knowledge with a lot of players, um, which is a big reason why they are like the best right now because of that.
What
So it's a grind.
Yeah, no, I think
Sorry, you can.
no, 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 no. I didn't mean to cut you off at all. We're here to listen to you, my friend. So if you have more to say, lay it on us.
Oh, I mean, I think that's pretty much it there because it was just like a rant of just like, I mean, I'm glad a lot of these players have been able to learn from the more experienced people, but
Well,
some people don't have that luxury, which is a shame.
and I agree with you that uh that is a really like important part of like we just don't have the experience. I also feel like we just don't have like all we have as far as lands in North America is Fragadelphia when it comes around, right? Like with the frag events
Yeah, I agree.
are the only thing. And whereas like when you talk to, I think I talked to a couple of the EU players or CIS players at Frag, and I was like, oh, what's it like being at LAN like this where it's all loud and rowdy? And they're like, this is like where I learned how to play Counter Strike back home is like at
Hmm.
loud rowdy LAN events on the weekend. So this is like normal to me. So yeah, I feel like North America definitely could benefit from more land activity as well. But what's your daily training routine look like? Like how do you outside of like when you're competing and practicing with the team, how do you work to improve yourself as a player for on a either micro or
Um,
macro basis?
well, if I'm not practicing, you know, it's like watching demos and trying to learn what I can, maybe on my spots or stuff like that, or like, I know a coach that told me like a while ago, a long time ago, he told me that like when you're watching a demo, you want to like look at the whole map too and not just your spot and just like see how teams are moving and reacting and like why the people in your spot are doing a certain stuff. So like trying to learn what you can from like different players in the spot that you play and get like different ideas and like take different plays and different things from them is really strong. So like I do that, and then like playing the game is just very important. It's like working out in a way. It's a weird comparison because I'm like a scrawny guy and whatever, and I don't work out. But you got to keep on playing the game, or else you're gonna lose memory of like maybe a smoke or something like that, or you're gonna lose like aim and all that stuff. But it's just playing the game as much as I can, uh, because that's just all I really have is just what I learned and how I've gotten to here. That's what I've done. So it's just what I keep on doing. And like I said, obviously practicing a lot, but that's not an individual thing. That's a team thing.
If you don't use it, you lose it. That's what they say.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Um,
So.
okay, well, I think I have like two more questions here. Um, one, what is like Just this is a little from Coach Freshie here for the new players out there. What's the what's the what's the best way to communicate as a teammate in game?
Like, what do you mean? Like, how do you get good, like, comms? Is that what you mean? Like, how do you
Yeah,
improve your
how do you
communication as a
this
in a
question
team
yeah,
environment?
this question yeah, all of that. This question sounded really
Okay.
good in my head, but then I realized
No, but I think I see what you
it's
mean.
pretty broad.
You're asking on how you can, like, involve yourself. Okay,
Yeah.
there's a lot of it depends on your spot too. Some spots are more vocal than others. Obviously, if you're in a team situation, the IGL calls a lot of the stuff. Players, and I think this depends on the team too. Like, and it depends on like if the IGL wants this and stuff like that. That's something that the team has to discuss. Um, Players give input, maybe when they're defaulting or something like that, or they have a read of the opponent. Maybe any player can like give feedback to the IGL and saying, "Hey, I think this will work this round because they do this a lot and this has been a pattern or something like that." Um, and then if we're talking about just straight up like individual, like in your spot, it's very dependent on what you do. Like lurkers tend to be more quiet, but they're like listeners mostly, so they listen to the information that their teammates are saying, and then they also listen to like what they're about to do. So then that gives you kind of like an idea on what you're gonna do, and then also hearing the information of what the opponent are doing, like maybe like the utility they throw at the start. These are all very important things. So it's like when you're playing a default on T side, you want to tell them what's happening on your side, even if it's like just a grenade thrown or something like that. That's very important because sometimes people will leave gaps on the other team, and it also helps your teammates figure out what setups are going on. Uh, if like if there's like rules in the Counter Strike kind of in the way where it's like you want to call everything you hear, so then everyone on the team can use that information to figure out a plan, and especially what the opponents are doing too. That's very important. Um, that's like mostly what people do in defaults, and then like map control too. You want to take map control. You know, if they're giving you it, you throw the util, you take it. Being proactive is very important too, especially if you're like a pack player or something like that. I'm gonna use like Mirage as an example. Maybe you do like a 1-3-1 default. You have one guy lurking B, one guy lurking A, or two guys lurking A, three middle instead. Um, you're gonna get out middle, and then like maybe you talk about like what you're gonna do. Maybe if they're an aggro team, you're gonna like set up in a way where it's like you're gonna stop them. Uh, but if that doesn't happen, you need to talk about a next step. So okay, they didn't fight us mid. We got to figure out something now. Okay, let's take connector, let's take cat, and then like maybe let's insert a lurker, and then reset, and then go to a site. Or maybe you wanna split a site right away, or maybe you just wanna throw some pressure. Maybe you want one of your lurkers to throw pressure and then freeze because if a team gets pressured, they might get info somewhere. It depends on what's happening a lot. And I know my previous team, it was definitely a lot more of a defaulty team, and like it lets a lot of more individuals shine and like communicate and figure out plans and stuff like that more. But obviously, like I said, a lot of it also kind of depends on the IGL and what they want from you as a player. Um, and then CT side, it's like the same thing. It's like putting yourself in a spot where like you're like prepping like flashes. It's like, hey, this round I'm gonna play like maybe I'm gonna play triple on A Mirage CT side. Con and window player, if they come out A, make sure you guys have flashes to like throw 'em over bench or something like that. Like pre-planning ideas and stuff like that. You want to try to talk as much as you can to figure out what's going on. Um, and then like being proactive is very important too, and figuring out like things to do with your teammates. That makes sense too. You don't want to do stuff just for no reason. Like you want to do things that will make your team better, and not just because you're talking. That doesn't mean it's always a good thing to do. But listening is very important too. That's something that a lot of teams struggle with too. In like just players, it's like you can talk a lot, but listening is very important too. That I've been on multiple teams where like I've had players where they just like they don't hear a call out, or like even that's happened to me too. Like sometimes someone say something, and then it just like goes past your head because maybe you're thinking in the round about something, or maybe something's going through your head, or like listening to something else or whatever. You don't really like hear your teammate. Listening is just as much important as communication is as well.
Yeah, that is, yeah. That's really well said. Is you can have all the best comms in the world, but if you're not listening to your teammates' calls, they can be pointless. So, uh, yeah, that is really important. Okay, I got one last question for you. I had one cooked up there while I was listening to you, and then I forgot it, but maybe it'll come back to me in a moment. What? This is the same last question that I ask everybody, but if you could talk to a younger version of yourself, like little kid version of yourself, and this is just give yourself some general advice that also the younger generation of today could pick up on. This can be Counter Strike related, life related, uh, whatever you want to talk about. You can just get on a soapbox and preach here.
Oh man. Um, I mean, Counter Strike is just like if you want to go pro, you know, make sure you if that's actually what you want to do, put in as much work as it'll take to be one. Because a lot of people say they want to go pro and maybe they join a team, but then they're not actually putting in as much effort as they could be, and it's a journey, So that's another thing, if you want to go professional in Counter Strike, it takes a really long time. Some people have easier paths than others. That's just life. But just making sure that you try your hardest as much as you can is always the best. Mental too. Make sure you have a really good mental. That's what I would tell myself if I was younger. Just like make sure because it's very important. If you have a bad mental, your reputation will be bad, and then that'll make people not look at you on certain teams to like pick you up. Um, so like always trying to have a positive mental and thinking good and not raging and all that stuff. That's probably what I tell myself is make sure you try to be logical in a lot of stuff because it's very important. That's probably what I would just say is just make sure to have a good mental and try to enjoy it as much as you can.
Well, I think that's very well said, and I think it is absolutely important. Well, Adam, thank you for everything and sharing and coming on and joining me for this incredible experience, getting to talk to you. It was lovely. I also am trying to at the end of these episodes give people. Oh, I remembered my question. You ready for it?
Okay.
This is a new one I'm going
Yep.
to
Super
start.
prepared.
You're getting the first one of this now. I better ask it
Oh,
before I
I'm
forget it.
nervous.
No, no, this is a good one. This is easy. Uh, where did you come up with the name Freshie? Like, what does that name mean to you?
um. Well, when I was picking up my name, I was thinking of the color blue because I really like the color blue. I was thinking of like things that were blue, like sky or ocean or like maybe like anything blue, like water or whatever. Uh, and when I think of fresh, I think of like blue sky, fresh outside, clear skies, all that stuff. So I just went with fresh. At the time, my name was Fresh for a while on ESEA. Um, and then eventually I ended up adding the IE at the end because Shocks had IE at the end. His name was like Shoxy, and I like that a lot. So I ended up adding the IE at the end. So kind of copied Shocks in that way. But honestly, Freshie just rolls better off the tongue than Fresh. So that's why I ended up sticking with Freshie than Fresh.
So any
Nothing too crazy.
no, I love that. Anytime I see your name now, I'm gonna think of like a spray bottle of Febreze Ocean Mist, like
Oh
a
yeah,
blue bottle for
the
Ocean Mist.
fresh
The
scent.
fresh,
That's what
yeah,
it
the
is.
fresh linen. That's what I'm gonna think of. There we go. That's
Yeah.
the one. All right, and then this is the last thing. Go ahead and give us your plugs here. What's up and coming for you? Where to find you? All that business. What do people need to know?
Um. Well, I stream, so if you guys want to follow me, it's twitch.tv/ uh FRVSHIE Freshie. Spelled a little bit differently than my actual name.
We'll link it in the
Uh,
bio.
Yeah, no, it'll and then besides that, like I have a Twitter, you know, I tweet that I stream, and then sometimes maybe I'll tweet like matches or whatever, or maybe I'll tweet something dumb. But besides that, you know, pretty much maybe if you guys will see me in a pug or something like that because I'm pugging a lot. So
Hell yeah. Are you 4K Elo?
no, I'm not 4K low,
What Elo are you at?
but maybe I'll get there. It's pretty low right now. It's at like 3.35, something like that, 3.3K, something like that.
Well,
It's not that high. I've been trying to stream a lot more. I haven't been very good at that, but you know, uh, I've been mostly just focusing on trying to stream than actually grind the elo ranks right now. So,
I feel that.
but it's a work in progress.
Well, keep at it,
Yeah.
man. We appreciate you coming through and sharing everything that you did. I hope you have yourself a wonderful day, and thank you to all of you for watching at home. Okay.